Hello and welcome back to Game 2. The Pinata getting smacked by a CLG fan, and did you know there's salt packets inside of it? And that's all of them right there. I don't know if that means TSM's going to be salty or not salty anymore, but that's how it's going to go. Let's kick things off as we get ourselves into this one, TSM versus CLG, by looking at the starting rosters. Ooh, it's going to be fun. I can't wait. Again, the first game of the split for these teams, and it's all about what did you decide to do during the offseason?
And it's a big one because, I mean, both these teams were pretty salty after the results last split. TSM
yeah, it's true.
Missing out on finals for the first time ever. CLG not even making it to the playoffs. Big disappointment in spring for both of these guys who made some pretty big roster changes. And you know, there were high expectations for both these rosters. I mean, you look at the championship banners, there's a lot of CLG, there's a lot of TSM.
Yeah.
People expect big things out of these orgs, and it's time to put up or shut up in summer.
So there we go. The blue side selected by TSM. You can notice that Hansser in the top lane, Grig new in the jungle, Bjergsen still in mid, Sven and Mithy still that bot lane, Coach Song returning as well.
And challenging them on the red side today, it's going to be Counter Logic Gaming. In the top lane, Darshan. In the jungle, Rainover. Mid lane, Hui. Bot and support going to be Stixay and Biofrost with Coach Zix.
So as you mentioned before, this is some teams slightly falling from grace. This was once a rematch that was the most hyped from the North American LCS. And, you know, these teams, though, are coming off their individually worst splits yet. As you mentioned again, TSM missing the finals, missing semis even.
Yeah, exactly. And despite finishing such a strong streak at the end of the split, I mean, they were 9-1 in their last 10. Everyone was saying TSM was looking amazing. They were, you know, on the up and up. They fell short against Clutch. They lost 3-1. And for Coach Song, he got brought in. They picked up Sven and Mithy. They brought in Mike Young, and now it's Grig playing, and all these pieces were changing, and it's supposed to be this super team for TSM. That's the first time they missed the finals. So there's a lot of pressure now here on Song, on TSM to be able to kind of make this work and perform, because they had time in the offseason to improve. They have this addition of Grig, and they're going to have to fix what was a weakness in spring in the jungle.
Absolutely the case. And of course, you can just put him on Turek duty and give Bjergsen Master Yi, and you can make him a ward once again. You can go back to the old TSM style. Now, of course, we'll see if Song will be tested well in this new world up against CLG and their longtime coach Zix, who honestly last split did have troubles finding his team's identity, but has a blank slate now for it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, CLG essentially took the whole split to find what was starting to work for them, right? Towards the end of the split, you know, they did get a 4-game win streak. There was a glimmer of hope of them making playoffs. They fell short, losing both their games, you know, in the last weekend. But you know, hopefully with the coaching staff's new facilities, the time that they've had in the offseason, they can right the wrong of missing playoffs. You know, Zix and CLG, at their best, have always been known for trying new things, for pre-planning level ones, and some really, really intelligent coaching and early game strategies. And I think if there's a time for that to shine, it's here on the first day of 8.11 in the NALCS.
Yeah, I definitely am very curious to see. There's some teams that I do really hold in high regard for their ability to innovate and be first in something, and CLG is definitely one of those teams. Their level ones are something you can easily point to as ways to get advantages, and outsmarting your opponents in champ select here with so many options I think could be another opportunity for them. Players are getting ready very, very soon. Bjergsen, I believe, the last to go through his checklist, and then we're ready to go into champ select very soon. But yeah, once again, I am very curious what styles we do see here today.
Yeah, me too. I mean, it's one of those things where Grig coming in with TSM, obviously this is a guy who's very well known, you know, in solo queue. People have seen him probably, you know, in Academy and these sorts of things. You know, he played a little bit, I believe, for Echo Fox as well in the LCS. So, you know, he has been around. He is someone you see on streams, but this is his first time playing with TSM in the LCS. He's starting the season with them. There is a history of TSM junglers kind of getting the blame, of not working out, of having all that pressure. And anytime someone comes into this org, there's a tremendous amount of pressure right from the word go, because TSM fans expect success. They expect perfection, and we'll see if Grig can give that to them today.
I mean, TSM is by far unquestioningly the most dominant NA org. At least domestically, right? You can make fun of their Worlds and MSI performances, but at least they're making it to Worlds and MSI, much unlike a lot of other teams here. So TSM are the team. They have the most fans. They have the loudest chants. Like, you can watch LPL games and hear TSM chants once in a while. Like, it's actually insane. And so, yeah, the pressure is on. And, like, it changes when you become a TSM player. Everyone is now watching you, even if they weren't before.
And it'll be interesting to see, you know, if they do want to run any funneling strategies. You know, is Bjergsen going to be the carry, and you actually put, you know, Grig on the Tarek mid or these sorts of things? Because I tend to think that, you know, putting the better carry player even though it is technically you're playing jungle and you have smite,
Sure, yeah.
you're essentially laning mid, right? And having the more talented player, having your superstar on that carry, I think is very important. And for CLG, you know, a lot of the questions for them really comes down to shot calling, communication, teamwork, these sorts of things where they seem to really fall short a lot in spring. We heard a lot of talk about how Biofrost was going to be taking over a lot of the shot calling duties for CLG, and that they were trying to kind of fix those issues and felt like they had it somewhat worked out. And we'll see if that is the case, because I can remember so many games in spring where CLG has a great early game. It's all pre-planned. They have fantastic ganks. They get ahead. And then it felt like it just all starts to fall apart. They overcommit to a fight. They get aced, or they, you know, are all kind of on different pages, and these sorts of things that were happening to them quite consistently.
All right, so as players look around, and we should be getting ready to go very soon. CLG players all in, still waiting to get Bjergsen specifically into the lobby, but we shouldn't be too far from this one. And yeah, sort of recapping some of these players' stories. I remember who he had brought out a bunch of crazy stuff last split. He had the Fiora in the Galio mid that looked good for the matchup, but the team couldn't quite make it work in the mid to late game. And yeah, I'm sort of curious what, again, like, you know, does Darshan go on full fighter duty now that we've got a bunch of like Aatrox or Renekton stuff? It's no longer full tanks. Like, that was Darshan's initial calling card back when he was Zion Spartan. Even his teacher called him that, and he was playing Shyvana up there and Jax and all that stuff.
And I mean, you can play Jax, you can play Camille, you can play Renekton, you can play the Aatrox, you can play all kinds of different stuff, you know, that does kind of fit that sort of play style for Darshan in the top lane. Also interesting to note, I think one of, if not, probably just straight up the best mid laner against the jungle funneling strat, if you want to shut it down 1v2, is Aurelion Sol.
Yes.
And that is who he's kind of calling card. He has always been so good at that, because a mid laner support cannot actually hold the wave against Aurelion Sol. You push in the wave too fast, and that really can kind of mess up the timings for these junglers who want to be able to farm their camps, then get to mid lane in time to pick up that farm as well. So that is something that teams that are going up against CLG will always kind of have to keep in mind. You know, if you want to go for a funneling strategy, you better be taking away Aurelion Sol. Even Vel'Koz, that he has shown quite a bit, can be pretty successful into that with kind of W max wave clear. So pretty interested to see what they're going to bring out.
I want to actually point out something that I thought was really cool as well. This happened a couple days ago. Darshan of CLG is the NALCS Players Association president. They had their, I think, inaugural big meeting fairly recently, and Darshan got voted as the president. I forget the rest of the roster, but I think like Biofrost and like
Bjergsen and Mythi, I think, were also in there. So I think all four of the people elected are actually in this game.
It was, I want to say one of them's Double Lift. Like, I'm blanking now, and I apologize for not having the rest of the rosters out there. But yeah, I know Mythi was in there for sure as one of these guys as well. And yeah, Azale's, I think, running over to check all those things. And I apologize for not having them ready for me in advance. But it is kind of cool. Like, these players come out and say, no, you know, we're going to put our faith in you. You're going to kind of lead sort of, if the players do need things from the leagues or things from their teams, right? That's what the Players Association is for. And they said, yeah, you know, above all else, Darshan is the one we want sort of to lead this effort. I think it's really, really cool. And, you know, we'll see if things come in for that. But I wanted to shout that out. I wanted to give him some props because I think he's been one of the most respected players, I think, just sort of across the league, both from pros and fans alike. And I want to give him that shout out because I think it's really cool.
Yeah, and the 5 elected were Darshan, Biofrost, Bjergsen, Doublelift, and Mythi.
We got it right together.
There you go. We did it. But yeah, definitely interesting to see that. And Bjergsen just trying to fix up some mouse issues he is having.
Okay.
So our IT is trying to help work through that with him. And as soon as he is comfortable and everything is fixed, he's in the lobby now. So we likely are going to be getting going here very, very shortly for first showing of TSM and CLG in summer.
And the first little bit of chat in the profile is Biofrost typed /me space waves. So Biofrost waves was the first thing that happened in this game. Like when there's no games to cast, I play-by-play the in-game chat. There's a smiley face from Mythi. Someone else wove back. It was, I don't know if wove is the past tense of wave. It's probably not. It's probably waved. But now it's wove. Enjoy, everybody. Either way, though, yes, we have all 10 players in the lobby. We'll be ready to go in this one very, very soon. And Bjergsen said my treasurer. And Biofrost said my vice, so they are ready to go. It's great. They brought up the player stories too, and they can't even hear us. They got those headsets on.
We're all on the same page. That's synergy.
It's beautiful. So I want to ask you a question as we are getting ready to start in, and you can interrupt yourself if Champ Select starts. I asked you this off camera before the game started. I asked you, what would your ideal blind team comp be? If your opponents had no idea what you wanted to do and none of their bans mattered, what kind of stuff would you want to see on your idea? Like if you're TSM, you're coaching your song right now, What do you draft for this squad?
I mean, it depends obviously on what your opponent's matchups are, like on what team you are and everything. But if you're saying essentially 5-man blind pick, I tend to think that marksman is still actually the strongest strategy. I think something like Lucian Braum, like Graves in the jungle, like Zoe in the mid, an Orin or Singe top lane, that is probably my strongest 5-man blind pick composition that I can make right now.
And we'll see if this comes through for either of these teams. We did see plenty of those bans come through in the previous game as Morgana and now Zoe are off the table. TSM starting out summer split, hoping to rebound from their worst spring ever. A 5th, 6th exit, CLG in 7th. Not ideal for them as well. Hoping to catch up with Team Liquid, who started their series off with a win. And there's Talia, there's Yasuo off as well. And none of that allowed for Bjergsen or Sven.
Yeah, Bjergsen has actually been spamming a lot of Yasuo, kind of joking around a lot on social media about his bad win rates and how he was approaching perhaps hitting 50% win rate on that. But you know, there's a lot of different power farming strategies, funneling strategies that people have been running. You know, I'm hearing things about Camille, Aurelia, Yasuo, like all these kinds of different things. You can do it with Twitch. You can do it, obviously, some of the really known ones are things like the Yi and the Karthus Nunu and so on and so forth. But there's so many options to do this with. And CLG obviously concerned about some of those funneling strategies with the Taric ban, perhaps even the Yasuo. But the Aurelia first pick here for TSM is going to give a lot of flexibility. This, again, can really go 3 lanes realistically, and potentially, I have seen it in the jungle there too for the funneling strat, but most likely going to be mid, top, or bot.
Yeah, and I would even say among those most likely mid, that's where I've seen her the most personally. Ornn also somewhat flexible. We've seen that as the bot lane farm role. Top lane, though, still the most likely spot for that to go. But again, drafts have been much more flexible of late in League of Legends. And some find that very aggravating and hard to draft around, but I think it also can be very interesting, giving a lot of room for options, as now Braum's picked up for a second tank.
Yeah, and Lucian is still available, right? So that has actually gone through. I'm kind of somewhat surprised that we didn't see just like a Lucian Braum snacked up, because it's so incredibly strong, I think, for the marksman on this patch. Braum could be going mid for Huhi. We could see, you know, a power farming strategy with that. Huhi obviously could play the carry or the Braum, or this could just be a very standard Braum support alongside any marksman.
And I think this is CLG setting up a pretty good flexible situation, right? They banned away the Taric, which is probably considered the premier support mid, and then went for Braum, which is number 1 or number 2 as well. Like, those are kind of the S tier as far as what I've seen so far. And they get to wait until the draft shows and then see if they want to play a hyperscale jungle to sort of compensate with that. We've seen in Europe, both G2 and Fnatic did that with Kai'Sa, for example. They ran support mid/jungle with a Kai'Sa in there, so I think they have options, and I think it's very interesting, as TSM have now shown their support, and they're probably jungler with Brig on Olaf.
Yeah, a little bit less flexibility from the TSM draft so far. You are basically expecting Olaf to only go jungler. You're expecting Alistar to really only go to that support role. Ezreal, perhaps the pick here for CLG. So Lucian could just get passed up straight up.
Yeah.
Ezreal does give you a lot of safety into these sort of diving champions, especially there's very many AD heavy compositions that are kind of bruiser focused, and something like an Iceborne can be so effective that Ezreal does itemize into very well. Something you also notice, if last time you really were watching competitive was at MSI, you're probably thinking, oh sweet, Ezreal, we're going to see double tier. Well, in this meta, the games happen a lot faster, so people have been kind of deciding to skip the double tier in priority instead of going for like something like a Bladed Rune King or sometimes even a Mercurial third item for just a faster power spike and kind of more immediate strength.
Yeah, more of the game is decided around that 25-minute mark than 35 as it was oftentimes in the end of Spring Split and through MSI. Final bans to come through now. TSM getting rid of Lulu as a pretty frequent mid laner, but we've seen that flex bottom as well, though not likely with the Ezreal. One final ban for CLG. That's going to be Vladimir off the table. Somewhat maybe expecting for Sven, as so far TSM's comp is all physical. They do need magic somewhere.
Yeah, they definitely do, as long as you think the game could go long. I will say that because the game time has been a lot faster, it's more okay to go heavily AD or heavily AP, because oftentimes people don't actually get enough of a chance to build up enough armor, and going especially heavy physical comps, you can sometimes burn down Barons, burn down objectives, and really kind of crush it out before they do take over. That being said, something worth kind of talking about a little bit is the Mundo ban, which is a very good matchup actually into the Ornn and gaining a lot of popularity as a top lane tank. The Graves jungle increases the chance that this is a mid lane Braum. Braum Graves is probably the most preferential duo alongside that Braum mid lane for a farming jungler. We know Reignover certainly can play the Graves. It could also potentially be flexing things around and putting Hui on the Graves or whatever, but Graves and Braum gives that potential. So now TSM has to lock in their last 2 picks with that in mind, knowing that it could just be a standard mid laner, or it could be that
Super
this
Graves.
is Super Graves.
Going to be exciting to watch for. 15 seconds till TSM locks in their draft. We expect Aatrox top, Olaf jungle, Aurelia in mid. Kai'Sa does have a good magic damage profile. In fact, the most common build is AP Kai'Sa. So add another magic damage marksman to the list. It actually rounds out the comp quite well, and Sven is on that style. And look at that Tom Kench hover. That shows us Super Graves if it's locked in.
Yeah, if it's locked in, it's going to be Super Graves. It will be that funneling strategy with the Braum mid. TSM going standard is as standard does, and that's basically a very similar kind of style to what we saw TL run and win with earlier. With the marksman bot lane, it is going to be Renekton up in the top lane. So this is going to be an Ornn. Wait. Oh, this actually
Renekton mid into Aurelia.
Okay.
I think it's Renekton mid into Aurelia because that's the composition here. We've seen a lot more fighters mid as counterpicks to other fighters. He is someone who loves to play this kind of stuff. Playing the Fiora, he's going to play Renekton into Aurelia to win the matchup.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to do anything too crazy, but I have actually seen Ornn support, and then you can do Ornn support with actually Renekton top and Super Graves. So you can still do these strategies. I'm expecting it to be what you said, though, more of a standard composition. It is kind of this bruiser mid against the Aurelia. Renekton is considered a very strong early matchup into that Aurelia, so we'll see how Hui is going to be able to handle that. But this is fairly standard. Obviously, some new picks in new places. Haunter should have a very preferential matchup up in the top lane. Definitely not going to be that strong in the early stages, but with Conqueror, once you get up to the Rage Blade and these sorts of items, you really can crush through tanks on the Aatrox and even look for potential 1v1 dives.
Well, things to watch for. Haunter's been an excellent top lane throughout the North American LCS ever since he's joined TSM. One that many would power rank above Darshan, but we'll see how he can do on this CLG roster. New split, new players in one case with Grig in there, and an all new style of playing League of Legends. We're going to have the normal marksman here under this one. We'll see what happens. Fans pointing to the camera. TSM and CLG fans ready to go as the spotlights are on these sides.
Wave to the camera, freak.
Hi, camera, but it's not pointed at me. It's not going to matter. Here we go. Game 2 of the day. TSM versus CLG. Hoping to catch Liquid at 1-0.
Alrighty, this should be a good one. Very excited to see how that mid lane goes. I do think that this can be quite a snowballing matchup when you do have these 2 aggressive mids, both with Ignite, both with strong early junglers who can get that pressure going. Renekton certainly has the advantage in the early stages, but I will say if Aurelia gets ahead, there's not really any point in the game where Renekton has fun.
True. Invade from CLG. Alistair runs away in his onesie. Chose the blue onesie this time around. What if he picks the same one every time, or if he actually switches it around, but it's not something that I track.
Maybe he has to color coordinate.
Ooh, yeah. I mean, they're on blue side, so he's trying to like fit in with the health bar.
Yeah, and Grig is kind of playing a bluish skin.
Yeah, see, we're in there. I mean, there's like that red gun for Rainover, and yeah, all right. Yeah, I mean, this is a little bit color coordinated.
I mean, CLG is looking pretty red.
Yeah, except for Ezreal.
Red.
Sticks
and the Graves, I guess, has a blue coat.
Yeah, Ezreal could have picked like Academy Ezreal or something and would have gotten a different color scheme, but oh well.
They're doing their best.
Ooh, but Haunter's on a ward! They last longer now, by the way, so his shame will remain around for more time.
All right, well, they're actually going to try to collapse on this. TSM, this actually might be a big deal. You were kind of saying it facetiously, but TSM is being collapsed on. There's actually a Graves Braum behind them. They're going to come in with 3 men from around it. This is a very high chance of blood on TSM.
Darshan's here. Press W, finds his stun. The burst is there. Grig, where is he going to go? His flash is already down. The chase is in, but he landed one axe slow. So how good's the chase going to be? Because there's no flash left to follow him. Grig's going to get out and actually burns extra flashes.
Yeah, Biofrost would have had to go over the wall there and try to actually proc that stun if they were going to fully commit. Instead, it is going to be Grig just walking out. Will still be a positive play for CLG.
Yeah.
As long as 6A is not falling too far behind in the bottom side, and because he has Ezreal, he can get away with this stuff a lot more easily. We'll have to give up a couple farm, but it's a preferential start here for the Graves. It is flash trade. It actually, I may have to take it back. I mean, it is 2 flashes for CLG. It's kind of debatable.
Yeah, it's 2 flashes. Haunter a bit late to lane, missed some CS and XP. We'll have to see it pay off, but it's a lot of sort of desynchronized things. Yeah, absolutely the case. He walks over and lands a stun on Scuttle, get rid of the shell, make this kill easier for Rainover, makes that jungle path pretty free.
It's one of those things where right now CLG has the advantage because they have the gold off that, they have the experience lead off of that, but if you can actually capitalize on a flashless Darshan, perhaps, that's something where that it can no longer kind of be worth the investment.
Absolutely. There's a lot of crowd control out of Aatrox, and I mean, it's a Predator Olaf. You back for boots, and that is a gank you can probably land. Raynor managed to get both scuttles, though, as a really big and very nice surge in XP and gold. That is, again, payment for making Grigg stop his first buff and run across the map to start on a blue.
Yeah, exactly. And he does kind of just a full clear of that left side of the map, but he's still level 2 because this is the new jungle patch that does not actually get you 3 anymore without a scuttle. And this is going to put Rain over, a decent bit ahead when he fully clears. You can see both AD carries are running teleport. This is a Doran's Ring start here for Sven, which is just essentially the AP ratios actually are pretty good on Kai'Sa, but also having the mana regen to kind of spam out your spells and have a little bit better push is similar to the same kind of line of reasoning that I've seen with players starting Doran's Ring on Jhin.
Yeah, it is going to hurt his sustain quite a bit. The base health regen on Kai'Sa is exceptionally low, and Fleet Footwork heals you for like 4 HP when it triggers on minions. So if they can find pokes, CLG can push out a lane. So far, not going to happen.
And one of the things I will also say that is really important, as we saw that kind of trade in the mid lane, is this interaction between Ruthless Predator and Defiant Dance with the Aurelia and the Renekton. It's a lot about who can actually time it better, right? So Renekton is trying to get the W stun off without Bjergsen being able to get his Defiant Dance for that huge damage reduction, because that can channel during the stun. And Aurelia is on the other side trying to really anticipate and preempt that stun. So if you can actually get your W up when the Renekton stun comes in, you take very little damage. You can often then trade back and win that fight. If you do it too late, you're going to lose those trades very, very hard, and especially once people starting having items, that can often decide a fight completely.
That's the case here. Bjergsen right now looking at the mid lane. Farm lead very briefly over who he has a backfield. Grigg is saying, hey, I want to make sure that there's no crazy Graves Renekton ganks. We actually saw this a second ago from Rainover as well, that how you mentioned how volatile these lanes are and how tough the lane can be if you get behind. These junglers are saying, hey, if there's a gank, I am here for you, and that's actually some of the time they're spending is making sure the mid laners stay alive.
Yeah, it is really, really important in this sort of a matchup, especially with Ignite. Both these guys are going offensive rune setups. Both of them are going very early game, kind of powerful melee champions. Whoever gets ahead, whoever gets a kill, often can just be over for the other guy.
It's a double Ignite matchup, right? Like we haven't seen that in so long in Pro League of Legends, double Ignite, and I'm happy to see it again.
Yeah, me too. So far, so good for Bjergsen. Obviously, you don't have to win instantly as the Renekton by any means, but I will say if a lane like this gets split, I will generally favor the Aurelia. I think that the Aurelia does have better scaling and does have really, really powerful team fighting, though it's high variance team fighting. It's not necessarily easy to pull off, but if you can actually get a lot of Blade Surge resets, with your ultimate, with hitting those stuns, you can really be dominant in a team fight, dashing around, kind of taking over. And I'm going to be very excited to see really how Bjergsen is able to perform, because we saw the Aurelia mid, BDD played it. I believe it was, we saw it from the LPL representative, Xiao, who I believe brought it out, and there were some really impressive performances there. So first chance to see Bjergsen playing in hand.
Bjergsen first to 6 in the mid lane. Actually, is building a slow push in that lane as well. I want to see if he can make anything happen before he gets that ultimate. But of course, we've got Graves waiting for the bottom side. If there's going to be any kind of engage or jump in, Mithy not going to go for the head, but Pulverize knows there's Swagavore in the river. Doesn't have any upside to go for that. So that gank will not happen either as they trade blows constantly. In the top side, the farm is equal, but there's more for Darshan to kill. So small gold lead for him, and the ult coming across. Haunter, no revive available, but also no gank to be had. So Darshan, I think maybe afraid of getting dove, clears the wave.
Yeah, as soon as the Aurelia goes missing, I think he is very, very worried about that tag team between Bjergsen and Haunter, looking for a dive on him. That is very easy to set up with that Bloodwell passive from Haunter. He essentially has that GA, so you can tank up the turret for your opponent, and Darshan just wants to make sure that there's no possibility of that.
And so far, it's going to be okay. Who gets rid of a couple of small wards, but standing on some himself. Going to reveal the river, says, a control ward, but he's got to clear maybe mid first. All right, vision goes down, but still does not reveal that trinket, so who he's ability to walk to top lane, going to be likely revealed frequently.
6A now going to TP back to bot. We see Sven actually held his TP, but he did get an early base because they had to push. So he went back. He got an early Zerker Greaves, goes back again, buys a couple daggers, and again is going to hold on to his TP. He has the tier 2 boost to run back more quickly, and this will give them an edge, on actually having the proper base timings, on perhaps TPing into any potential top lane fights or these sorts of things to look to turn that around. And it's something that you have to kind of track more heavily. People are very used to tracking the top lane teleports, but AD carry teleports is something that is kind of more new, and sometimes you do see, even at the pro level, people really losing track of that in the fights.
Absolutely the case here. So we'll see what comes in. Right now, Grig getting rid of a ward, doing very standard TSM things playing provision so far, but has his Predator boots, has yet to go for a gank with it just yet, but with Red Smite on, he's a decent fighter here, similar for the Graves. The farm so far up for Reignover, again at level 1, sort of paying off throughout the mid-game. Counterlogic Gaming as a squad, up 700 gold, so nice little bits of the early game for them.
A pretty passive early game. We
Yeah.
could see CLG making a 4-man play here on the bot side, or just trying to go to the Dragon, and it looks like that is the case. Grabbing this early Ocean would be very beneficial for the laning phase. TSM has the potential to try to contest this, though. You can see Grig is moving down. Bjergsen clears the wave. He can move down as well.
Yeah, they're coming around. TP is available for Haunter, the same for Darshan, who does not yet have the ultimate on Ornn, and look at that, just the threat was enough to push CLG away. About 30 seconds lost. Attempting to kill the Ocean Drake and not getting it.
Yeah, they do at least get the scuttle, and mid lane was pushed, so there's not any big loss there. Actually, for Huhi,
Yeah.
he will be able to go back and collect that wave himself, and he's going to be going Tiamat very likely into just a straight Black Cleaver. That is the most standard. And Aurelia, Bjergsen not actually making the pit stop for Tiamat of his own, as many people are doing this patch with Aurelia. One of the big reasons being your Q actually procs the Tiamat AoE damage, so you can actually just melee those melee minions a couple times, and that essentially preps you for the whole wave, and you're just dashing around the entire wave. But going straight for a Triforce, when you get to that faster, your actual 1v1 potential is a lot higher.
Yeah. Needs to duel the Renekton. That might just be the right choice here. We'll see as the lane pans out. Looks like a blue is going to be handed over to Bjergsen there. Greg helping and putting away. Shouldn't steal it with the red anymore. Easy Q if he wanted it. Doesn't go for it there, and that's the pickup. Of course, he doesn't need the mana, and so Reignover gets that on the Graves. Might get himself even farther ahead in the jungle matchup as waves are coming across, and yeah, not going to be much of an issue there, so he can walk across the map. And again, looking towards the bottom side, going through control to make sure he is safe. He steals the ward gold, and once again, look to threaten a side lane potentially, but not going to find anything much.
Definitely potential for pretty powerful, pretty explosive team fights here, as there is a lot of these kind of melee brawlers in the fight on both sides. You have a tremendous amount of CC kind of coming out here from CLG, and the fact that they got wrong, plus the Ornn, means you're not going to see the Ornn ults easily rejected, and that has a potential to really disrupt the fight with 4 melee, as TSM has.
Yeah.
And that's something they're really going to have to watch out for, that layered, especially in addition to the Braum ultimate, all the CC that can come out here from Huhi, but it is CLG making the roam top.
Haunter's Q is down. He's going to lose the revive as well. Has to flash get away from the call of the Forge God. And that is a flash burn for the ultimate. Reignover still is getting a lot of free time in the jungle. Recently, he got to steal Raptors away as Huhi helped join him in the bottom river. And now, yeah, with Haunter showing up, he's not going to get that scuttle this time around, but you are seeing CLG try to open their wedge using Graves for a lot of it, taking just small advantages across the map.
Yeah, and CLG kind of knows that they are more powerful with the jungler right now, so they're trying to get advantages, but TSM is doing a good job tracking with imperfect information. Essentially, they don't have vision on this Rift Herald, but they're saying, okay, well, there's a good chance he could be here. Let's go check. They push him off that. Earlier, they know that, hey, he could be over on that dragon. They go check, and that was actually warded. They push him off that. So, Reignover does kind of have the early edge as far as the dueling power because of that level 1, because of the farm advantages that he got, but really has not been able to kind of cash in on that whatsoever.
Yeah. Gotta say, we'll see what happens next as we still sit in this 400 gold lead for CLG. Just a very slower early game, and it's definitely been interesting to watch. A lot of the games we've seen either in Academy or across the other leagues, we've seen a lot of very aggressive snowball games. I've seen a lot of those Reddit posts about how it's over 15 minutes so much of the time, and this one much more measured, much more like the spring split games here, and a bit different to what we saw in game 1 as well of Team Liquid versus 100 Thieves, but again, it's all these teams' first look at the new patch, or sorry, first showing publicly in the new patch. Of course, been scrimming for weeks at this point. Reignover getting yet another scuttle in a row. There's only one that spawns at a time, so if you get the one, you got all of them for the next 2.5 minutes. It's going to be bot side vision yet again.
And I would really like to see 6A going for the Iceborne in this game. We can see that CLG bot lane is kind of getting some lane dominance now that there's some CDR, now that there's some more mana stacking, and they're trying to push in, they're trying to pressure this, and actually rotating multiple members down. Grig on the top side, this is going to mean a bit of turret damage at the very least for CLG. Bjergsen's on the roam now, he's actually heading back to base.
Yeah, just attempting to dive is constantly CLG saying, hey, can we make this play? We've got a little bit of alone time. We can walk down. No, nothing to pick up. All right, kill aboard, and then back they go. So it has just been a laning phase, but it has also, to kind of call it out, CLG's been the only team looking for those plays. They've just been defended too well by TSM's sort of positioning.
And I think for TSM, playing defensively makes a lot of sense when you're saying, okay, well, Aatrox should be eventually beating Orin in this 1v1. That should be somewhere where you're going to outscale. Aurelia should likely be eventually beating the Renekton in that 1v1. Kaisa, arguably outscales, out DPS is definitely the Ezreal. So there is a lot of scaling on TSM, and I think that's why they're partially pretty comfortable here to play this sort of style. There's also the potential to kind of play this out just straight up as a 1-3-1 for TSM with a strong Aurelia, strong Aatrox in the side lanes, and then your 3-man squad mid lane looking to just wave clear. So a lot of the options there, but a lot of League to be played.
Look at this play as Greg Pop Predator gets some movement speed, comes right across, now looking for the fight on this 2-on-2 in the top lane. A big bit of damage, not gonna find the knockup, not gonna find the ulti for Rainover either. Orin's gotta run, he's gonna get shot though as the flash comes in, not gonna get the ulti, and the axes come down into the turret, not gonna get the kill though as Darshan stays up, but now here comes a very angry Renekton full of fury. The flash forward looking for that kill. Is Bjergsen not gonna find it? Rainover lives. First blood to Huhi in the matchup.
Huhi able to get that kill onto Bjergsen. Nice roam for him, and Bjergsen not quite hitting his ultimate onto Rainover. That falls just short. And then I think he thought he was going to actually miss his stun. The stun connected, but he was already running away, so he couldn't actually follow in for that potential kill, as I believe his Blade Surge was on cooldown. So it is first blood over onto Renekton. It is going to be that Rift Herald, finally a neutral objective coming out here for CLG, and they're the ones who come out on top in the first skirmish.
And this brings a much larger gold lead, 1,800 now, just off that kill in the lane pressure. Farm lead, kill lead. This could be a very volatile mid lane matchup now. The two fighters double ignite. This is one where a gold lead can mean a lot more than in other places. Ninja Tabby for both these players, but still the power spikes could be just first for this Renekton.
Yeah, I mean, those item completions become so incredibly important when you have the Tiamat. If you can reach your Black Cleaver before they hit Triforce, you're going to be really, really feeling confident in that 1v1. And here is our Acer Predator replay up in the top side. Darshan so tanky, and whoops, a little bit of a whoopsie there, but this ultimate missing from Bjergsen is actually so key. Flash after the ultimate was used instead of actually flash ulting. Had he flash ult, that would have been a connected ultimate, that would have been the stun connecting, and likely would have been first blood for Bjergsen there, so definitely some mechanical misplays on both sides, but it's Bjergsen's that is the more costly of the two, and results in Huhi getting that first blood.
You got to the point of him going Triforce, though. He was pretty close to getting the all-in to happen against a 3/4 HP champion. Missed his ult, still almost killed him.
Yeah, missed his ult, didn't use the reset on his stun. Kind of messing up the flash ult combo there.
Yeah.
It looked like he was trying to do an ultimate flash, and perhaps the flash was too late. But either way, misplay there, costing Bjergsen. He is at his Triforce now.
Speaking of getting towards Triforce, of course, CLG is skilling the bot lane, and that bot lane turret, CLG are close to taking it down. The health bar actually pretty low. Actually, it's already dead. I'm trolling. But they got it a while ago.
It is
CLG.
pretty low.
It's so low, it's at 0 HP, and my brain isn't very good anymore. It's been a while since I've cast it, but now this means Ocean Drake control is really here for CLG, and it's not going to be stopped. And there is the pickup. More objectives for Counterlogic Gaming. On pace for a perfect game, CLG fans.
Yep, that's there's the potential.
The potential. That is all CLG cares about. It's potential.
And Darshan going to be pushed back here on the top side, but does see Aurelia heading back to mid, sees Greg heading back to mid, so we'll be able to come back up and wave clear. And I mean, a lot of these objectives going down is the result of that first fight, right? So it's not just the kill, it is the Rift Herald, it is now the Dragon, and we'll see what does the Rift Herald actually result in, right? Because Mithy, I believe, was he spotted mid? I'm not sure. I don't think he would have been, because otherwise Raynor probably would have just dropped the Rift Herald bot for that tier 2.
Right.
But we have to kind of find out how much he's going to get from that, because that is all part of that first fight. That is all part of the extended play. And potential advantages that could be going there is 6A. They're just going to TP top and look to actually push this in and try to use this as kind of just a macro play.
And it's pretty good timing. Yeah, they had the bot lane entirely shoved in. He buys up. He's ready to go for the next little bit of his build. And not quite on Triforce, but good luck finding defense. Only Greg is anywhere nearby, and Ezra going to have an easy time hitting the turret.
And the Rift Herald's coming. You can see that everyone from CLG is moving up. If they can take this turret for free, I don't think you see them drop the Rift Herald here. I think they save it for the tier 2 and then try to go for a 2-tower push. TP coming in from Kaisa, though.
And Maybe in retrospect, the Herald would have been worth it as the defense does come through, because that was a certain turret kill if Herald was summoned.
They still have some time on it, though,
Yeah.
so it's not the end of the world. We'll see what they can really get out of it. But obviously, they were going for the kind of bigger play. They were trying to really hope to get multiple turrets. And one of the important changes with Rift Herald is that even if it's low HP, every charge does essentially a minimum amount of damage. It's 1,500, I do believe, which is very, very high. So although the maximum is about the same as it was last patch, even if this thing is 10 health, if it gets its charge off, it does a tremendous amount of damage. So it increases the potential to knock down multiple turrets on one push.
And yeah, in every case, it's more damage. It's either like 20% more damage or like 500% more damage for the injured Heralds getting his second charge after
Tons of damage.
It is tons of damage. It's really ludicrous amounts here, but yeah, it's timing out. There's like 4 seconds left on the Herald summon, and I think it was a missed opportunity for Rainover. He might summon it mid.
If he doesn't summon it.
All right. So it goes to mid, and mid is low. It is almost just above 1 charge of HP left. So if Herald reaches, it's an almost guaranteed turret.
There's 3 members of TSM here, though, so it could actually be pretty difficult for them to really get it down, and we'll find out. I don't think they're going to get any charge with that.
Yeah, eye damage now 40% max HP. It's going to be a 0. Oh, they get the
out.
knockup! He's going to go down! Darshan solo kills Hauntzer!
Darshan with the nasty outplay there. Woo. That is not how that is supposed to go. Darshan finds the solo kill onto Hauntzer, knocking him out of his jump there. Just beautiful stuff from Darshan.
That is when you say yikes a lot of the time. This is now falling apart from TSM. They got a Herald kill to prevent that from dealing any damage, but they've been getting picked off now across the map, losing their turrets and losing a lot of their lanes now.
They are still just a couple thousand gold behind, so it is definitely a surmountable lead.
Yeah.
And we'll see this one more time. It's Hauntzer wanting to go in, wanting to go aggressive, but so this passive, as you back up, actually climbs down pretty quickly. So Darshan takes a pretty nice trade there. As the passive expires, he lost combat, so he does not have the Bloodwell revive. Knocked out of the air there. Nice follow-up from Darshan. Fully commits with the flash to get that wall knock up, and a beautiful solo kill.
And the loss of the Q is on Hauntzer, though. Like, that timing is 100% reliable of when he's going to be hit and how long the Q takes to cast. So Hauntzer showing, if you want to call it inexperienced Aatrox, that is just bad timing to lose his Q for nothing.
Yeah, and Aatrox, the way it actually works is you can only be interrupted on the jump up. Once you are traveling down, you actually can't be knocked out of that. So it is a pretty small timing window to actually be interrupted on the Aatrox Q. And Darshan found it.
Yeah, unfortunate to miss it wrong there, but that's what happened in this one. And, well, 4,000 gold. Counterlogic Gaming finding advantages pretty nicely. As you mentioned, though, it is a surmountable gold lead. This is not out of reach by any means. Kai'Sa okay-ish at wave clear, honestly, with Olaf axes and whatnot, even Aatrox. There's actually enough sort of line AoEs that TSM can defend if needed. CLG kept it 2 turrets only so far.
And we see that CLG wants to play, a slower game as well. It's actually Stixate going for the double tier, which is certainly atypical in this meta on this patch. Most people do just go straight Blade of the Rune King or QSS here.
Yeah,
instead, he gets a second tier. He's going to be scaling up and will certainly be more powerful in the late game with this build, but it's going to take him longer to get to that point.
I do like that if CLG are willing to play a longer game to go for this kind of build, the more ability power, right? Every spell, it's not Q. They all have AP ratios, they all do magic damage. He's going for a higher magic damage indexing build, which, again, makes sense when Graves and Renekton are your 2 other big farmers in a lot of his cases.
Yeah, and it's going to help him kind of match the scaling of a Kai'Sa as well.
That's true.
Kai'Sa certainly can outscale the Ezreal, but the double tier build here from Ezreal certainly scales better, and he did not elect to go for the Iceborne option, went for higher DPS of the Triforce. That is going to help him out in that regard also. But for TSM, now down 5K, Baron is on the table. That is kind of what they really have to be worried about CLG taking a fight, taking that Baron, because that's where the game can really get out of control. That's where you maybe don't get to come back if you give that up, and they really want to buy time for Hauntzer to get to the Rage Blade, to be winning in this 1v1. But having him, give up that solo kill is certainly going to kind of delay the amount of time it takes for him to be winning in that side.
Yeah, and TSM's starting to feel a bit more confident. They've got Aurelia pushing the turret down, getting some good damage there, who he can wave through, but is not going for any crazy aggressive plays here, and TSM might start to find the chips they need to break apart part of that CLG base.
Also worth pointing out that, as predicted, it is going to be Kai'Sa going for the AP build, pretty standard on this patch, and especially makes a lot of sense with TSM's composition, which is very AP focused. going to be going towards the Natur's Tooth, and then the most common third item I've seen is just straight up Death Cap. I have seen some people elect for Azonias if they are more worried about the dive coming in onto them, but probably going to be a Death Cap here and just kind of depending on his teammates.
This isn't like Nocturne Cinder where you can actually delete the backline. I would expect the more offensive build for Sven as well. Nice pickup there. Second Ocean Drake for CLG. They can stay on the map as long as they want now, and Darshan going to build his own item, so he's going to have infinite uptime.
Does help a lot there with the Baron as well. You can kind of bait around the Baron, take a little bit of damage, back off, the Ocean heals you up. And in these extended skirmishes or extended siege situations, that is where Ocean really does shine in the later stages of the game. And an all-in fight gives you really nothing, so you kind of have to play around the strength it is giving you because it is a situation.
And you mentioned Baron. I do want to reiterate, as we are now on 8.11 versus 8.8 for the MSI patch, Baron does a lot less damage, and he also throws out a lot less armor and MR debuff. So the ability to start Baron and not be punished heavily for it, much easier now in this world right here, and we might see more Baron baits as a result of those changes.
I mean, it does an insanely less amount of damage.
Yeah.
It's like you're fighting
it's like 40% off. So
now you're fighting, you know, a little kid with sock and boxer gloves on. You. Consume Suicune.
Yep. I know. It's great because we got the Hungry Hippos, like little fruit in the river as well. So all kinds of children's games out here. And we'll see if CLG can make this game child's play themselves. They have remained in control the entire way through this game. There's only 2 kills, but have looked good so far as Haunter has to run away from Darshan to the side lane.
Yeah, Stixay was heading down towards bot, so that could be what's kind of prompting that. But Darshan is doing a good job staying ahead of the curve, you know, building pretty heavily for the 1v1. The fact that he is actually playing, you know, for that Thorn Mail is going to help a lot because one of the strengths of this Aatrox against tanks is that he can actually swap his W over to the healing form and Blood Thirst, I believe it is, and not the Blood Price. And you can actually just kind of out-sustain tank's damage straight up while putting out still a tremendous amount of damage. You have true damage coming out from the Conqueror. You get some mixed damage coming out from your Rage Blade and these sorts of things. So can be pretty powerful in that 1v1.
Haunter's only a couple hundred gold away from that Rage Blade combined. That's going to be a very important power spec for him. We'll see if TSM can wait around for that, and if the lane matchup flips, if you're mentioning the mechanics of it. CLG have yet to pick up much since their mid-game lead. That top lane turret did eventually fall. They found that damage.
This is the focus, though, for CLG. They very clearly want to be around Baron. Multiple pink wards in the area. They have swept out every square inch of this. They know TSM has nothing in the area. Now 4 pink wards, completely dark there, and they're looking simply to force TSM to come in, to take a fight at a disadvantage. That is what CLG wants because they know we don't have the gold lead to actually close the game just yet, but if we were to get Baron, if we were to get a victorious fight around there, they certainly do.
And they're going to try maybe right now, Double Ocean keeping their stores full, and they've even brought the Ornn with the squad as he'd already shoved in the bot lane. So here comes the damage coming across, and Baron will barely hurt anyone.
Here's the Ornn ulti funneling through.
Comes in, finds 2 knockups, not a ton of damage, but now going for the big play as Grig and Bjergsen forced away, but the front line is in the mix. They're going to try to pick off Mythia, very tanky Alice, but not tanky enough. Stixay gets 1. They're going to find a second. They knock down the Aurelia. Into the back line comes Aatrox. Here comes Kaisa. Sven picks up the other marksman from the bottom lane. A big knockup. They've picked up so many. Sven is just going to keep going. He's already on 3. With the help of his Aatrox top lane, TSM finally wake up with a 3 for 2.
Haunter and Sven turning around what looked like a completely lost fight there for TSM. The beginnings were so good for CLG, but some of these super powerful carries, the Kaisa on 2 items. Haunter had his Rage Blade critically as well. The double Rage Blade carries there being unlocked, and TSM, such a critical fight for them.
Their patience was rewarded, and this reward might be just vision control over the Baron pit, but with the TSM PPs coming in, they're going to rush for Baron Nashor. Reignover's alive, running out of the base right now. Does have Smite, does have Flash. Biofrost somewhat aware of what's happening.
He's got
to control it over the wall. But Reignover should be in range in time to look for a Smite. Again, they've got vision. Puts the cloud down, looking for the play. Doesn't have his own wards much left. And they've got to play around this. When can he run out of wards? When can it get low on health? Mythia with a stun. Oh, and they're going to pick that one up in time. And now for the re-engage, Mythia will drop as the fight continues. Darshan pops his stopwatch. Will go down to Haunter, a 1-for-1. TSM pick up Baron on 4.
Nicely done there for TSM. It looked like, I believe it was Reignover missed his pink ward over the pit, so he lost vision. He actually replaced his pink ward. We're going to have to see that again, but on the wrong side of the wall, meaning he did not have vision to even attempt a potential smite steal there. And it's not to say he would have been guaranteed to get it, but he would have had more of a shot.
Either way, it was clean enough. Mythia went over the wall, headbutt pulverized to buy a couple more seconds if he could. Either way, Sven got the last hit on Baron.
Yeah.
Team effort, the game now within 2,000 gold with the Baron buff on. TSM have a lot more to do.
Yeah, here it is one more time. So Biofrost drops his pink, Rainover drops a pink in the pit, and then as this one's getting focused, I believe he replaces his pink. Perhaps that was intentional
to get rid of the ward.
To try to stop Mithy from being able to come over and actually knock him out. So maybe that is possible. I'm not sure if he was trying to deny the headbutt pulverize. Either way, headbutt pulverize comes in, he fails the flash into the wall and does not even get to attempt to steal the Baron there.
Yeah, good on Mithy to get over just in time to make that one happen, but it was a close one. TSM now with this Baron buff can start to work their way back into this. Banner of Command completed for Mithy here. Still an 8.11 has that, gets a few shots in, but defended well enough, and now it's going to be CLG wanting this fight. They get the knockup onto Sven. They're going to get more from Braum. Aatrox on the wings, though. Can they get the kill in the back line? The answer is no. TSM keeps Sven alive. So now for the re-engage, will anything be found? Hanser waiting for his way in.
Finds the
flow. Here comes Aurelia, as you mentioned, but there is no fight to be had. CLG running back to lick their wounds under the turret.
And that's how CLG has to play it, though. They need to hard engage. That is their way to kind of still stay alive in this game because TSM has hit crucial item points. They have the Aurelia being very strong level 16. Hanser very strong level 16 as well on this Aatrox, and Split Push can pull them apart. So Ornn is going to have to look for hard engages, look for these fights, and CLG needs to capitalize when those opportunities show.
They can, but so far it didn't happen. TSM able to now equalize the gold off these turret kills. They're actually up now 4-3 in turrets. And Infernal Drake picked up as well. It's got to feel nice for them as they can reset with their new coffers. And it's now TSM the leading team.
Definitely a frustrating dragon to spawn for CLG as they have had neutral objective control for so long, and then as soon as they lose it, Infernal comes up. TSM is able to grab it, but TSM certainly in a pretty good spot now. Sven is on his death cap gold, so he has that 3-item power spike, which is going to be a really big deal for him. One of the things still working well, though, for CLG is the fact that Stixxay is still up in gold, is very close to actually completing his Seraphs, so he is going to be then at a very strong point, and he is kind of, the burden of a lot of the damage is on him at this point in the game.
Absolutely the case right there. It's going to be about him. 2 marksmen and a Renekton, 2 tanks otherwise, no strict mages. Sven the closest to that analog here in this game. But as we see the builds come through, of course no one's building full tank regardless. We'll see what comes through. Black Cleaver on the Graves. The Knight's Vow ready for Grig to help tank up the rest of the squad. He's bound with Sven, of course. That makes total sense to the Kai'Sa to get that extra durability. Really nice 3-item spike for Bjergsen, though. GA on top. He's in a really good spot. Now, Zeke's in for Grig as well. I mean, these power spikes are just flooding through for TSM. That first fight they won was when they finally got 2 items onto the Aatrox, finally got 2 items on Sven, and right away they did well, and now they've got a lot more to work with.
And the banner is going to help them out a lot here for Mithy also. You can see Hanser not electing to go for Bleeded Rune King, which would have been more focused on straight up 1v1 against Darshan. Instead, wants to go for the Sterix, which is going to be more powerful in the team fight, kind of give him a little bit of additional tankiness there with that Sterix shield. And Aatrox can be a very, very fearsome backline diver. Can really put out a tremendous amount of damage, and even just straight up AoE damage. Your Q is AoE, your E is AoE, and you have Titanic kind of cleaving through this team, and extremely long melee range with your ultimate.
All right, well, the siege continues. This time it's not with the Baron, but it's just the gold lead. CLG should not be willing to concede turrets on equal ground. The turret's still down about 20% now. TSM getting so much of the map for themselves. This is the last remaining turret outside CLG's base. It would be number 6. Banner minion pushed around, won't get any more turret damage in. That Baron power play, yeah, 3,000 gold above killing Baron itself.
Yeah, very big swing there for TSM. Such a critical fight. CLG was 5k up, baiting around Baron. Hanser and Sven able to turn that fight around for TSM. Not only did it keep them alive, it ended up netting them the Baron, netting them those additional turrets off of that, and really has completely turned around the game, because this could have been already over, a CLG victory, had they sealed out that team fight, grabbed the Baron for themselves.
And we wait to see what the next play is going to be. 2 minutes on this Baron buff, and longer than that of the Ocean coming back up. Typically, we tend to see, at least from the last split, he's played Baron to Baron. You get the one, you get as much of the power spike as you can, kill all the turrets, reset as the end of the buff wears out, and then see what you can do with your gold lead, and then play for the river once again. CLG looking to be first on that play. Control ward's now coming down in this river, but not before Grig could always grab the scuttle. Now that will despawn before Baron itself comes up, but CLG hoping to lay the groundwork early.
one difference between a lot of those games where we see, hey, Baron to Baron, the second Baron is often, like the first one is usually you're in an advantage, the second one usually closes it out. And in this case, TSM, that first Baron just stabilized the game, right? This next fight around Baron is going to be very, very even as far as the goal is concerned. These are certainly some incredibly strong members on the side of CLG as well. And anytime you're grouping up and kind of funneling into an area, there's potential for massive Ornn ulti to come through, which could really decide that team fight, because there is no one to block the Ornn ulti, the Ezreal ulti, the Braum ulti, all these things that are going to kind of be layered in, potentially disrupt a lot of what TSM is trying to do.
Yeah, it's plenty of good bursts. Graves and Ezra are both really good at reaching backline with their ultis, so watch out for Sven if he can survive this. I expect him to be able to. He's even got a stopwatch, as we mentioned before. The Knight's Vow is linked to him. Expect him to live. Sure, yeah. As you mentioned, that's going to be the next item up there. And of course, did go death cap earlier, and that's probably correct here. And now we're on to the point where it gets exciting yet again. 30 seconds till Baron spawns. Sven actually going to go for side lane. Keep in mind, he has Summoner Teleport, so it's completely okay to backfill this lane and try to find a 2v1.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if Haunter actually hits his knockup onto Darshan, that triggers the Kai'Sa ultimate. You can actually dive in there and try to just burn down Darshan, unlock the map, but Darshan playing it pretty passively. CLG trying to play for vision control around this area, and you can see Ezreal also going to be dropped actually for side lane control.
Then goes to build some space. Biofrost wanted to flash to find exhaust. Yeah, I think he tried to find the engage. You couldn't get it there. Slowed down a little bit more, but that is a summoner down. A nice attempt by Biofrost, but Sven got invisible and got away from exhaust.
Yeah, the supercharger there, it's already upgraded, obviously, and is going to allow him to go invis, get that speed up, gets out of range of any potential Q ult or exhaust type combos. So it's flashed down for nothing now for Biofrost, which is going to hurt his potential engagement.
Look at the damage, absolutely. Mithy now also flashes a trait now of support summoner spells. A nice play out of Stixxay.
Yeah, and they're going to force Baron. I mean, Haunter is not actually coming, so they need at the very least to get Haunter's TP. They are onto the Baron buff. This could potentially decide the game. Can TSM hold with 4 members?
He's going to look for Greg on the wings, but he's, of course, on top of the ward, so he's not going to be very threatening here. Biofrost the front line. Fierce coming around. Here comes the teleport as well. This is the 5v5 they need. Biofrost the front gets killed for 1. That's going to be a trade, though. Mithy low on health is going to drop. Stixxay gets it, and now the team's got to run away because Aurelia and everyone else is scary. Here comes Sven. He's going to find a raid over pops the Zonias. That will be a kill picked up. Yerkes is going to get that one. Sven to kite away. Just stays alive. The re-engage over the wall. Stixxay gets 1. Hunter on the chase. He's going to find it, but a trade kill is in. And now it's all up to who. He is alone against the squad. He's going to drop, and Darshan's got nothing to do but watch his teammates. 2 standing for TSM.
Yeah, they're going to back off and collect these waves. I wonder, could they have not potentially just 2-man the Baron with a Rage Blade Aatrox? Instead, they're going to make the call to back off. Bjergsen wants to clear out top lane. Haunter will go for the Ocean Dragon. And again, Haunter able to find this kind of segmented team fight where he's 1v1ing against Darshan, pushing Darshan out of the fight, and then coming in from behind and cleaning up the carry. So Haunter really some brilliant team fighting in this game here once again. Hui looking for the flank on the side. They're waiting. They're trying to get the TP out of Aatrox. There it is committed. And you see Biofrost flashless gets focused down immediately. Mithy going down very quickly as well, but then it's this fight on the top side. You can see on the very edge of your screen as Haunter is pushing out Darshan. Darshan has to flash out. Now the top laner cannot re-engage. Haunter comes down. Stixxay has no flash, has no dash to get away, and Aatrox is able to just cleave him down and clean him up.
Of course, Huhi, no chance in 1v2 either.
Yep.
TSM's Bash brothers, the Aatrox and Aurelia, the last one standing, winning these fights in the end. They can both revive. And yeah, big damage numbers there. Haunter, highest on his team.
Yeah, I mean, he's doing incredibly well. He has a GA now, so it's essentially a double revive. You have your Blood Roll passive plus the GA. Bjergsen has his own GA. The next fight for TSM is essentially 8 lives.
Yeah.
It's actually pretty insane if they use it properly, and that makes it so hard for CLG to really do much unless they can get some very good poke in advance or a really nice combo, and they're just getting split pushed out. I mean, now they're utilizing the Kai'Sa to split push because we have TP on Sven, and CLG is hesitating. They have to try to make a play here, either send multiple bots to try to stop this or try to force around Baron.
Mithy tries to help, puts in a banner, promoted. Whoa, just going for the tower dive now inside the base. Where can Darshan even go? And it is only to the respawn. Sven gets a solo kill, takes down the turret, and TSM have all the pressure.
Yeah, he is going nowhere. The execute damage on that Kai'Sa passive just shredding him out. Inhibitor very low. CLG would want to try to find a kill on the exit, but they can't, and they are now down a man with disadvantageous side lanes with the split push advantage on TSM's side, and TSM can continue to play this style of game. They just need to kind of grind it out. If too many members of CLG show in the base, they have the potential to take Baron control, to rush down a Baron, and it's going to be very hard now for CLG.
CLG's days are numbered. TSM going to try yet again. The teleports come through. It's time for Baron, this time without an Ornn for 15 seconds. Does have teleport, does have an ultimate. But isn't enough for CLG to win the fight as they look for the plays, getting rid of the wards over the wall. Rainover does have a smite, but he's going to back off. He's going to try. He's not going to get it with the ultimate. He attempted, though. A good smite for Greg. Mithy buys some time front lining, and just blast cones right back over. TSM get the bear with no casualties.
Yeah, CLG should have at least been able to kill off Mithy. He was on the other side of the blast cone, but no one actually autoed it to knock it back into the team, allowing him to keep his life there. A bit of a mistake, but still well played from TSM. There should have been no chance for CLG to actually contest that Baron, and there was not. Look at Sven. I mean, the amount of AP damage coming out. This is a mostly armor Darshan here, and the execute damage on the Kai'Sa passive is actually insane. Once you have this much AP, and you can see he's even going towards the Oblivion Orb, so he wants to grab a Morello's there for the healing debuff, and I think that makes a lot of sense as the last item here as well. TSM starting to really feel full control. This time they get the Baron, they're already 6k up, already inhibitor exposed, with massive split push advantage.
Wow, TSM doing a really good job making the comeback there, because they were down, I think, 3-0 in turrets and 2-0 in kills, and then just found that one good fight and never looked back. 39th minute of the game, up a kill, and up a good solid 6,000 gold here.
What damage. That is poke from 2 screens away for half of Ezreal's health.
That is a yikes right there. Flat Pen, the Oblivion Orb currently helping quite a bit as well. Bifrost getting chunked a little.
Through his Guardian.
Yeah, exactly. Really meaningful damage. Rainover taking that same little bit.
And you have to remember, he has enough AP that he has the upgraded W, so anytime you hit it, the cooldown goes to half, which means you can basically spam that out for so much damage. As long as he's hitting it, look at this. This is insane amounts of damage coming here from Sven.
And a 30% CDR from everything he's built so far in this game. And finally, one juke comes through, but CLG is still losing bits of their base. The bottom lane is entirely gone. But they defend with a half HP turret will regen back to 2/3.
And with Sven sitting on his blue buff, he's at 40% CDR, so that W cooldown when you hit it is about 4 seconds. So that's pretty insane how much damage you can do with that long range of an ability. It's kind of just like Ezreal Q-Poke on steroids almost at this point in the game. It's very, very powerful. But CLG, we do have to remember, they are still sitting on a lot of items. This is a full build Ezreal. He does have a Zeke connected with him. So these guys still have potential to really do a lot of damage in a team fight. Rainover is going to be able to still put out a lot of DPS, but it's going to be one of those situations where maybe they never get another 5v5. Maybe TSM just avoids that for the rest of the game and just tries to play this full push.
They've got double teleport. They've got any duel they want, really. Both Aatrox and this Kai'Sa are on great terms to win any battle they find themselves into.
Yeah, I think there's no one that can 1v1 the Kai'Sa, the Aurelia, or the Aatrox from TSM on CLG's side. Yeah,
probably the case here. So good luck finding your opening counter game. They've got to pull the trigger somewhere. And you can see how much less that Mystic Shot did compared to what Sven's W's do. He did a tiny little bit of damage, and now the push is continuing yet again as they go for this top inhibitor turret. Good juke on the Void Seeker, but still running out of ways to play this game as Counterlogic Gaming. Buy some more time in the top lane, but mid's gonna fall pretty shortly. There's a nice stun on the front line. Not quite gonna lose the turret. No, it does go down. A good shot comes in as the minions help with this one. So more and more of the CLG base is falling away. Down 5 turrets now.
Yeah, TSM no intention of giving them that 5v5 unless they know they're guaranteed to win it. They are spreading them thin. Super minions coming in the bot side. Banner minion in the top side. Baron minions crushing in from all sides, and TSM is closing in on their first victory.
They're closing in, and the doors are closing for CLG as another turret falls without a fight. They are seeding their base constantly. They're not waiting out a Baron. They're not waiting out important cooldowns. They finally go for the play. A knock-up onto 2. A Zonius spot for Sven. The re-engage looks for whatever. Not going to find it just yet. No, Hanser in the mix in the front line. Looking for a bit of CC. The first revive is only going to be the first of 3. As into the back line goes Sven. Tries to find a kill. Not going to get it just yet. Rainover low. First run away. There's the first revive on Hanser. Still the team is alive. A stun on a Bjergsen. Not going to go down just yet. They've already killed out Biofrost. So a 5v4 as TSM have taken now all of the base, save the Nexus turrets themselves. And CLG forced to run away and lick their wounds. Sven gets more damage in. Now maybe overstaying, forced to flash away from Ezreal with the Ruin King slow. Bjergsen still happy in the front lines. No Guardian Angel. No, sorry, does have that still, so an easy target. He is not as the front line of Darshan forced to once again run away. His cooldown's now a little bit missing. Looks again for Bjergsen, but again with the Guardian Angel on, not going to matter. Now who he wants to walk forward with, say 4v5. They hope the low hope is going to matter. It's not going to be, though, as who he drops. They want to stick, say the back line, the slow in for Greg, and he gets the kill. Only 2 left. CLG forced to run away from their own base. They cannot defend their structures anymore. Rainover, unlimited time as he's going to be dropped down. The Guardian Angel is stunned for Darshan. It's not going to mean too much. The other one left alive, and he's going to watch this base falls. The minions helping with TSM. As now a couple more respawns come through, but it does not matter as more of that squad falls. 14-9, TSM 1-0.
An impressive comeback from TSM. CLG playing out the early stages very well, but it was the team fighting from TSM and Haunter and Sven in particular really showing up when it counted around that Baron fight. That lost CLG their advantage, and then a pick in the bottom lane there from Sven nets them the next Baron and essentially secures the victory.
And this was a game that was, unlike so many TSM victories, not about Bjergsen. He held equal with his lane opponent in the mid lane, but it was, as you mentioned, Sven in the bot lane and that Aatrox from Haunter on the top side. The first Aatrox in NA, well, second Aatrox in NA, I should say, at this point, since 4 years ago. And TSM had a very nice comeback victory. That mid game looked a whole lot better. Sven on a single death, 1.5 million damaged up by him, only a small exaggeration. TSM played it better.
Yeah, they certainly did. And I have to give so much credit, I think, to Haunter. I feel like he played those team fights out so incredibly well. The way that he was able to find these kind of skirmishes on the side, often pushing Darshan out before collapsing on the rest of the team. The first fight around the Baron, finding a way in over the wall, being so critical in a lot of these team fights. And yes, he did have kind of the lone blip where he did get solo killed by Darshan, outplayed in that instance. But the rest of the game, basically flawless from Haunter. He had pressure in the side lane. He team fought incredibly well. And I think that is a scary Haunter to see on day 1 of the NALCS.
Absolutely agree. And of course, there's a lot of types of champs to play. Aatrox being now the most common top laner of the North American LCS, which is a way to start with a
100% present.
With a sample size of 2. Aatrox is obviously the most prevalent top laner. Undefeated that champion is as well, so wow.
100% win rate.
Just ridiculous how dumb this champion is now. Obviously, you know, but seriously, yeah, a team victory for TSM, and credit is due to Counterlogic Gaming. The beginning of that game was played very well. A lead in the bottom lane, played mostly 2-on-2. They got first turret from that. Huhi, I thought, was pretty admirable up against Bjergsen, maybe playing a bit more home court for Huhi, kind of playing some of these stranger picks, fighters. He's already done that in the mid lane before, but held equal there. But still, TSM, the better team, and well done. So now to hear more about this first win of the split, let's send it down to Avli and TSM's Blade Dancer in the mid lane.
Thanks, guys. Bjergsen, congratulations. First thing I want to ask you is about that mid lane Irelia pick. Tell me about it and how you're adapting to this new meta.
Well, Irelia kind of became a high priority pick during the offseason, and somewhat during the end of MSI, people were starting to really pick her up and figure out how strong she really was. Initially, I saw a lot of AP Irelia, but it just reached the point where now Irelia is such a high priority pick in every region, and she's either banned or picked early. So, but I had a lot of fun playing it because she's kind of like a better version of Zed. Maybe not as assassin-y throughout the game, but the way she's really mobile and she can set up a lot of kills and she can punish the enemy's mistakes really well. I don't think I played as well as I wanted to on the champion, but hopefully I get another chance to prove my play on her.
Well, we also got to see Greg play with TSM. What do you think of his performance and how he's fitting in with the team?
I think he had a solid game. Not outstanding, but he was also put in kind of a rough position where he didn't really have a lot of opportunities to make plays in the game based on how the early game went and even how the rest of the lanes were playing. But he had a kind of a rough first couple levels, but he caught up fine. He was communicating throughout the game. He didn't get affected by the nervousness or hype of the stage. So I'm proud of how he played.
Where do you think, you're saying it seems like TSM was a little bit behind. Where do you think you could have improved on today?
Me personally or the team? I mean, I think just recognizing kind of our early game conditions and when we were stronger and when we wanted to fight, because it reached the point where CLG was kind of choking us out and taking every objective slowly, but we weren't able to find our opportunity in the game. And I want to be able to recognize that opportunity and go for it.
So this has actually been the longest break that TSM has had between splits coming into summer. How did you and the team use that break?
Everyone used it in their own way. You know, some people stayed home and maybe played League. People went traveling. Just kind of whatever they needed to prepare themselves for the next split. I think it's important to take at least a little bit of time off because the season is very long and gruesome. So I'm happy that everyone managed to reset, do whatever they needed to do, and now we're back to business.
So missing Miami last split was a little sad for TSM fans, but what can your loyal TSM fans expect from the team from the summer?
Only the best, of course. I mean, expectations are high from the players and from the fans, as always. And I think just one bad split, one setback, is not going to change the legacy of TSM.
Well, congratulations again on your victory today. And for more on the game, let's hear from the desk.
Thank you very much, Avali. Expectations still high for TSM and Bjergsen following, you know, kind of the blunder of a split last split. If you can even call it that, right, with the top 6 finish. But let's take a look at how this team crafted a victory here over CLG, because I think for a large portion of this game, you would have pointed towards CLG as the team that was not only in control, but on the verge of winning with maybe just one fight falling in their favor.
And they have a lot of early game focus, obviously, with the Renekton mid lane. Graves can abuse some of the melee junglers and things like that. Ezreal a little bit stronger early on. But what I really love about this draft, in the meta in particular, is that even with these exact 5 same champions, you could have built a completely different strategy for CLG here. You put the Braum in the mid lane, the Graves stays in the jungle, Renekton goes top, Ornn goes bottom, and now you have one of those super gold funneling strategies into the Graves. Some people have done it in some regions around the world, and you have a completely different play style, exact 5 same champions, and I think that is just so cool that we're in that meta. Unfortunately, we got a little bit more standard with Renekton mid.
I mean, it keeps a certain level of uncertainty, and we still saw double melees in the mid lane within Aatrox in the top lane who had a lot of success. So the fact that this is what's considered standard, and I'm seeing comments online be like, oh, we're just going to play meta champs, and this is it? Like, there's so much disruption with these team comps.
I mean, but with that, of course, we do still see 2 AD carries on either side of the map. And so the question was, would we get to that point where, say, one of them scales to the point they can carry through a team fight?
You say AD
Yeah, I was going to say,
James, you're right.
watch your
Okay, you're
vocabulary.
right.
We have a new category of champions in the bot lane, AP Marksman.
There it is. Well, let's talk about the AP Marksman then, and the show that was kind of put on here in this game in particular. Sven on the Kai'Sa, indexing towards, you know, the AP build as opposed to a traditional ADC build as we had seen months ago.
Yeah, first off, though, we're going to talk about this team fight right here, where this was actually the breaking point for TSM if they're unable to win this fight. And Mark and I having different predictions in the game. About right here, we're thinking, oh man,
I'm right. CLG
but
taking this.
Aurelia ult comes in, disarms pretty much everyone on CLG as Haunter jumps in over the back, and Sven is untouched, and they actually burn through the majority of the CLG health bars right there. And you can see that's exactly the turning point where TSM started scaling up, because the last point I wanted to make on the team compositions and the way that TSM was playing the map is every lane individually for TSM outscaled their counterpart in CLG, which is a very classic way of TSM winning games, but it has not been a classic way to win games lately. So that's why I think we see that 42-minute and 37-second game time, which is about 12 minutes faster than we've seen from the rest of them.
And it required some pretty impressive macro to pull it off. We saw them kind of getting these TPs in the Baron, and then with the Kai'Sa having TP, able to actually go split against the Ornn later, and then Ornn is just screwed. There's nothing an Ornn is going to do against a max build AP Kai'Sa, and that's something that is starting to be seen more. It's not just Kai'Sa either. You actually see a very similar build path on Varus, and this whole AP Marksman subclass is starting to emerge.
Right, the 1,000 damage burst coming out of that AP carry, as you will, near the late game. But, Jad, I want to return to this point around the style of TSM, right? The idea that, I mean, this is something we've attributed to the team for years. The idea that, oh, well, we can always outscale, we can always outplay. We're a stronger macro team, and we will pilot our champions to a better degree in the late game. But even with the victory today, is that the right way to play League of Legends right now? You stated that's 12 minutes longer than the average game time in the world right now.
Listen, I think it's completely up for debate. Before MSI, we were saying you can't win by funneling all your gold in your AD carry and playing protection, and then RNG
And then
did
that's
it.
exactly what won.
So there's a chance that we're going to see what TSM wants to do. Because even though they are playing double melees, the fact that they did pick scaling advantages everywhere, maybe that just never changes for TSM. And maybe it's about trying to actually perfect that style to continue to get wins throughout the season.
And I was going to say, like, you know, in Academy, someone played Victor and Kai'Sa together, and you're playing pretty standard all around. I mean, they did have the new AP Kai'Sa build, but who's to say that's wrong right now? Like, are you going to tell me that you can't play that way just because no one else in the world is playing that way? The thing we keep saying is, like, do what works for you. And if TSM can't really play, like, this aggro-ass style, then play this. it's still meta. You're still playing the Aatrox and stuff.
And this was an insanely close game.
Yeah.
It did hinge on that mid-game team fight
about
that
to
they
say.
barely clutched out. If that doesn't turn for TSM, it's a 26-minute CLG victory.
So by the same token, if you're CLG, do you walk away from this game happy to some degree? I mean, obviously not with the loss. Yeah,
But yeah.
not with the loss, but to some degree that you had, that was the turning point. If you win that team fight definitively, the game does end with you in the winning or as the victor.
Yeah, basically. I mean, you can either charge up mid, grab an inhibitor, turn around, go Baron if you're able to clean up a couple more kills there. So I think, CLG is not going to look at that and go like, oh, we're totally off base
We don't
with our
understand how to
strategy.
play. Okay.
I think you just look at it like, well, why did I Graves ult backwards in a skirmish? And a couple like little head scratchers
Mark
there.
is asking the right questions. We're going to step away when we return. Cloud9 debuts their roster shakeup against Clutch Gaming, where Doublelift, Aframu, and Kobe will be casting the game from the LCS Lounge on Riot Games 2. Game 3 is coming up after the break.
Kobe.
Comes a very angry Acton, full of fury. The flash forward, looking for that kill. Is Bjergsen not gonna find it?
We're gonna kill our trust, guys. So we're gonna
Let's hover by.
They're gonna slowly collapse.
Let's go, Dishan.
Let's go.
Yeah. Okay, Jesper. Kevin's back.
I can come back.
We win. It's only Graves and Braum.
Sven the Kite-Away just stays alive. The re-engage over the wall. Zigzag gets one. Hunter on the chase. He's gonna find it, but a trade kill is in. It's gonna matter now who he wants to walk forward with. Say 4v5. They hope the low hope is gonna matter. It's not gonna be. That was who he drops. They want to stick, say the back line, the slow in for Greg, and he gets the kill. Only 2 left. CLG forced to run away from their own base.
Just end, guys. I don't win very often in LCS.
The sub above difference is legendary. With Jersey Mike's, throwing an unforgettable party is easy. Now this is a party. Jersey Mike's, be a sub above.